Okay, hi Hannah. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Kylie. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I was up bright and early for class today.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about athlete mental health, specifically related to dance, because I know you have a very extensive dance background and
Mhm.
we're very familiar with each other. So I just thought it would be fun to interview you. So
Absolutely. I'm excited.
yes, I'm so glad. So first, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and your background in dance.
Sure. So I've been dancing, gosh, for a very, very long time, close to 30 years now. Started in the really heavy classical ballet world of training for many, many years. And then eventually, when I graduated high school, that turned into me finding my passion for teaching, coaching, choreographing, and all that good stuff. So I had many years of experiencing dance as a dancer myself, and then when I turned about 19, 20 years old, I flipped over into a coaching and mentor role. And now I'm going into my 13th year. I just did the math the other day of a high school competitive dance coach. And here in Illinois, it's very competitive, very strenuous, very busy schedules, and they take it very seriously here. So being involved in that industry for so many years has really shown me as a coach how valuable mental health is, and has really thrown a lot of different scenarios to me that I've been able to manage and help a lot of dancers through. So it's a wonderful industry to be in, but it's also very complex, as you know.
Mhm. That's crazy. I didn't even realize you've been coaching for 13 years.
Yeah, this is gonna be my 13th year of coaching. It's been
Uh-huh.
a long time. It's crazy to me too. It just flies by.
Yeah. So kind of diving into the first question, I know you and I have both had experiences with like athlete mental health when it comes to dance. And so I'm just curious to hear your thoughts about do you think that there is a stigma around dancers in terms specifically with appearance, or just what kind of stigma do you think that dancers face both in the ballet realm, in the dance team
Mhm.
realm, and just in general?
So it's difficult about the ballet and the dance team realm both. I would say more in the ballet world is that you're when you're in the ballet kind of individual solo aspect, studio training, the only thing that you really care about is yourself as a dancer. And what that translates to is being the best that only you can personally be. So
Mhm.
what I found is that not only living in that industry for so many years, but also experiencing it as a teacher too, is that a lot of dancers put a lot of individual pressure on themselves, looking a certain way, acting a certain way. As you know, when you're training in the studio, you're surrounded by mirrors, and you need to make every single part of your body look perfect and fit into a certain mold to really fit the way that you're supposed to look and dance as a ballet dancer, for example. But there definitely is a stigma there. You have to make sure that if on dance team, if you're not able to do a quadruple pirouette, but the person next to you is, you
Mhm.
have to be able to do that in order to be on the team and in order for the team to be successful. So, there is a lot of pressure to make sure that you as a dancer are up to par in what you're supposed to do. But it's just different. It's different when you're in the dance studio world versus the dance team world.
Mhm. Well, that kind of leads me to my next question. I was going to ask you about what kind of pressures that you feel dancers face, but kind of now into that more dance team. Do you feel like, not just with your team, but with the dance team world as a whole, do you feel like maybe um, sometimes dancers can feel pressure from their teammates or even their coaches or
Mhm.
judges to like be the best that they can be, but not in like a motivational way? Like, do you think that there are times when dancers just get really down on themselves and like kind of clash with their teammates?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I see it a lot. It tends to happen a lot more leading up to a season.
Mhm.
So when you're leading up to a season, as you know, and you're very busy, and the dancers are, working hard to achieve a goal, there's a lot of pressure there, and there's a lot of things that go wrong, and nothing's perfect yet. So I find a lot of times that dancers get frustrated with themselves, and then you throw in the whole aspect of trying to manage high school at the same time, homework, social life, grades, parents, friends. I mean, there's a whole nother element of life that these girls have to deal with. So sometimes they come into practice and they're just not feeling it. And that literally can affect their performance physically. And then I see, the second part of the year where we're in competition season, everything's very exciting and there's a lot at stake. I'll give you a perfect example of a situation we dealt with this year. I coach a very high ranking elite team here in Illinois. I'm very fortunate for that. And they're in one of the toughest divisions here in Illinois. And on day 2 of state, we had made the state finals and we were going in basically in second place. And then one of my dancers, who is a very, very seasoned dancer who never has any issues whatsoever with the mental block of things, she did a skill that she could do in her sleep 50 times over, and she messed up on that skill, and that caused us a deduction. And that deduction didn't necessarily cost us our placement. However, her fumble definitely took into account what the judges saw as a whole, and that affected the team. And I have never seen an athlete more upset than what I saw in that moment in time. I mean, this girl could do that skill over and over all season with no issues, and she just got in her head. It was on day 2 finals. There was a lot at stake, and she was second guessing herself. It messed up her performance. And then to see the team react, it was really upsetting, but also inspiring at the same time, because you could tell that they were all very upset, but they were all very reflective in a sense that they knew that that could happen to them as well. So they lifted her up and they made her feel like, it's okay. It could happen to any of us. And they accepted the outcome with the understanding that when you're in it together, you're in it together. So there's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, that's funny. Not funny to me in like a humor aspect, but I've had so many times where, whether it's in a team aspect or like me on stage doing a solo, like things happen and it literally feels like the worst, and you feel like the worst dancer in the whole world.
Absolutely.
And as much as like you can tell yourself like, no, it can happen to anyone, like you don't think that in the moment. And so that's just
Absolutely.
interesting to
And I
think
remember
about.
you going through that. I remember you going through that too. Kylie, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if you're like broadcasting this for your class, but Kylie is an absolutely incredible dancer. She's one of the most incredible dancers I've ever had the pleasure of coaching in my lifetime. And with that, she had a lot of pressure personally as a dancer. She was a soloist. She was featured. She really had to carry the team through things. And if you ever had a day, where you were a little off, not even making a mistake, but just even a little off, I saw how that affected you mentally, and you would right away go to that place of, I'm the worst in the world. And then, a day or two would go by, and then you get to the place where you'd be like, okay, no, I'm not. But in that moment in time, you feel that way for sure.
Yeah. And also it made me think of this year, actually, our team at Nationals, it's not necessarily that we messed up, but we put a skill in our dance, and it was just a small group of us, just 4 of us. It was a dive roll, and we had changed that ourselves because we just wanted it to be a little more difficult or whatever. And we got through the first round of jazz, and then we were on to semifinals, and we did semifinals. We felt really good about it, and they didn't catch it the first day, but the judges were like, this is illegal. And it we didn't end up making it to finals. And it's because then like us 4 are like, oh my God, like we put this in the dance, like we're so dumb, we're stupid, like why would we do that? But then like looking back, like the judges didn't catch it the first day, and like how are we supposed to know? Like it's not our job, and like other teams do it. It's just there's so much playing into it that like, and
there's so many elements.
So many. And it's crazy because I feel like us talking right now is a lot of the stuff that I hear from like people who are like coaches or athletes that are considered athletes, because dance is hard, especially like me being in college. It's not always taken seriously, which is something I'm super passionate about. So I'm glad that we're talking about this so that people know like we go through the same stuff. It's not like it's an unconventional sport, but it's the same.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my next question is, what do you think that society can do better to kind of eliminate this stigma and to like help dancers with their mental health?
What society can do? Well, I believe in the power of social media right now, and more than ever, because I've seen it, have a lot of negative effects, but I've also seen it have a lot of positive effects. And one of the things that I'm very excited to see as a coach is how much collegiate dance really blew up over this past year on a social media level. I saw a lot of people, general people in the public, and I apologize for the background noise for everyone watching. I have a baby and dogs running around, and the baby I'm going to grab right now before she rolls herself into something that she's not supposed to go to. Okay, anyways, back to what I was saying. I was talking about how social media really has a power to influence things in a positive way, and I saw a lot of things go viral and blow up on social media, and I saw a lot of people in just the general public, recognize a top-ranking collegiate team in the country and identify how difficult their skills were that they were doing. And I think that opened the door to a lot of people starting to research further into the collegiate dancing world and seeing what's all out there and what's difficult, and really having an appreciation and an awe for what is what is something that is difficult and hard for you all to go through as athletes. So I think that really seeing that social media aspect of things and utilizing that in a positive way is going to give people an inside look to what you go through as an athlete and to what many go through. So I think that is going to help take away the stigma of, oh, these girls just kind of go to practice and go to a competition, that's it. I think actually now seeing things blow up and seeing impressive things is what's going to give people a window into our world.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing that I have is just any thoughts or like advice to any dancers that will be watching this on what you have that could help them with their dance career and their mental health, if you have anything.
Oh man. When it comes to mental aspects, you really have to, I apologize. We're going to take little dancer Miss here into the video with us. Say hi, everyone. When it comes to taking care of yourself mentally, what's most important is making sure that you are really, truly taking time outside of practice to decompress and really like remove yourself from the situation. It's very easy as a dancer and as a coach to get very wrapped up in what you're doing. And when you're in practices and you're in competitions, it seems like that's the only thing that matters. And that can really lead to a lot of issues where dancers are affected in a negative way because it makes you feel like you're in this tiny little bubble and nothing else matters in the world. So my advice to dancers is when you're in your off time of not being in practice or at a competition, you really need to make sure that you're doing things to care for your mental health in a sense that you're completely removing yourself from the situation. And then the other question that you had was about
just like advice or thoughts that you had
mental in general.
Yeah.
I think as far as being in practices, what I tell dancers is to make sure that they are utilizing every minute of their practice to the best of their abilities. There's nothing worse than being in a practice and walking away feeling like you could have done more. Walking away, as from a competition being like, if only we took that last practice more seriously. That's something that you don't want to live in regrets, and you don't want to feel like you wasted an opportunity. So what I always say to dancers is the minute we walk into the door, we get into a headspace where we put away anything else that happened during the day and we focus on what we are doing in that moment in time. And what I find is a lot of dancers or coaches, myself included, who come into a practice, they've had a bad day, there's a lot going on outside of, this realm that we're currently in. They actually leave practice feeling much better because they're able to be with their friends. They're able to be doing what they love and have a passion for. And it's almost therapeutic in a way too. So I think really compartmentalizing what's important when is crucial to mental health in this sport.
Okay, well, that is everything that I have for you. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this because I could talk about it all day. So
absolutely. It's too short. We could talk for hours about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. I was excited to be a part of this.
Yeah.